They mention that they have trained these models to think more, just like a person would do. And these models perform similar to the PhD students on challenging benchmarks like physics, chemistry, and biology. These are the evals that this model has. On the math, it actually scores 83.3, whereas GPT-4o scores only 13.4. Hi everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about the latest O1 models released by OpenAI. They have released a bunch of different blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go through those blocks very quickly, and then I'll show you the code to test the models, and we will put this model to a couple of different tests and see how it is going to perform. Let's jump right into it. This is the blog that they have published yesterday, which is on September 12th. You see that they have introduced new family of models, which is O1, and these are a new series of models for solving hard problems. If you notice, they have moved away from naming their models as GPT-4, GPT-5, so on and so forth. So it's a different naming convention that we see here, and they actually mention that this is because these models are primarily for a different purpose, which is for reasoning. We will look more into what they mean and how they did it. They mentioned in the first line, we have developed a new series of AI models that are designed to spend more time thinking than respond. As you see, whenever you use these LLMs, whenever you ask a question, they will quickly start responding to it. But rather than doing that, these models are trained to go through a chain of thought prompting, then give you the answers, which will likely give you better answers. And as they mentioned that they have trained these models to think more, just like a person would do. And they claim that these models perform similar to the PhD students on challenging benchmarks like physics, chemistry, and biology. If you look at how these models used to perform, let's say GPT-4 models in similar class, these were not very good in these tasks. As they mentioned, GPT-4o only solved 13% of the problems, while the new reasoning model was able to get 83% score, which is very, very huge. And this is also coming to ChatGPT very soon, and they have released a bunch of different videos. Actually, this model comes in two different sizes. One is the O1 mini and the main O1 model. And Plus users will have direct access to the model, while they will slowly roll out O1 mini for all the ChatGPT users. That is what they claim. Now let's go to the next blog post that they have published, where they talk about the reasoning capabilities of these LLMs, and they have published a bunch of different interesting reports also that I'll shortly go into. If you look at these are the evals that this model has. On the math, it actually scores 83.3, whereas GPT-4o scores only 13.4. PhD level science questions, you see that GPT-4o is around 56, whereas O1 preview is 78.3, which is again a huge gain. If you look at the models in similar class like Claude 3.5 Sonnet and all the other models, they actually have a similar range to GPT-4o, but you can see that the increase has been in 20 or 30 percentage points everywhere, which is very huge. And they have primarily focused on saying that this model actually uses a chain of thought reasoning, which will make these models actually a lot better. So you can see that when you go through a normal model, GPT-4o model, you ask this particular question and ask the model to think step by step. So it thinks step by step and gives an answer which is not exactly correct. But if you look at how the O1 model performs, so whenever you ask a question, it will start a chain of thought reasoning, and you can actually see some of it in this particular example. And then it is more likely to give a correct answer. You see the thinking that it is doing. So earlier, as you have seen, for the original model, it directly jumped to the answer with little bit of reasoning. But this is a lot more articulate, and you are more likely to get, I just scrolled, yeah. So you're more likely to get good answers with this. And even with other areas like coding and math, there have been a significant gains as they are uploaded here. And there are a lot of gains that they have made in safety as well. They say that it's very difficult to jailbreak these models, which is actually a very good sign. and you can go through this particular report and read more about what they have published and how they have published. But the more interesting part is we want to test these models. And how can you test these models? That is what we are going to do. Let us get into testing these models. One thing that you need to note is API access is not available to everyone. Only if you are a tier 5 user of OpenAI APIs, then only you will be able to access it. But there is another way that you can access these models, that is through OpenRouter. So I'm not a tier 5 user, but I'm still able to access it using OpenRouter. This is the code that I've written. I'm going to use LangChain OpenAI package to test it, and I'm going to use OpenRouter API key since I'm accessing the model through OpenRouter. And I have created a series of tests in this. I have not seen the outputs of this myself, so I'm going to test this along with you. I'm not using the main preview model because it is severely rate limited, so I don't want to exhaust the rate limit while I'm testing the model. So I'm using a mini model. You might as well choose the main preview model as well. Okay, I have chosen the questions that most of the LLMs usually get wrong. So these are the series of questions that I have, and let us see if how many of it is it able to answer correctly. The first question is, if 5 shirts take 50 hours to dry, how much time will it take to dry 100 shirts? Right. If 5 shirts take 50 hours, even 100 shirts should also take the same time. But let us see what is the answer that this model has given. So let me just scroll to it, and it says it takes 1000 hours to dry 100 shirts, which looks wrong to me. But let us see the kind of explanation that it has given. While the final answer seemed to be wrong, it actually is giving an alternate scenario here where it is mentioning the possibility of parallel drying, where if there is a capability of drying all the 100 shirts simultaneously, it would still take 50 hours is the answer that it has given, which is right. So I can give this. So it got 1 out of 1 right. And now let us proceed to the second question, where I'm asking how many R's are there in the word strawberry. We know that there are 3 R's, but LLMs generally struggle with this particular counting task. Let us see if this model is able to give correct answers. It actually gives a wrong answer. It says it has 2 R's, and here's a breakdown. So it actually lists all the 3 R's, but it actually mentions that it only appears twice. Let me run it again and see what sort of output this will give. I think even for the second time it has given a wrong answer, so I think it got the second question wrong. Okay, now let me go to the third question where I'm just comparing 2 numbers. Which one of the following is greater, 9.9 or 9.11? Let me see. The conclusion, 9.9 is actually greater than 9.1. 9.11 is actually correct, so it got 2 out of 3 right. Let me go ahead and test this particular question. So what is the 5th word in your response to this particular prompt? So let us see if it is able to correctly identify this. As you can see, it gave a pretty random error here in this. It says your prompt was flagged for potentially violating our usage policy. Please try again with a different prompt. I don't know what is wrong with this, but let's see if it is actually, if I've been rate limited. Let's say if this is running, I think there is a problem with the prompt and not with the rate limits. Yeah, this is running perfectly fine, but it actually says that the prompt was flagged for potentially violating usage policy. I don't know why this does not involve any bad words or maybe anything confidential or anything. I don't know why this is flagged. So I think out of 4, it got 2 correct. Now let me go ahead and test this particular coding ability. So I'll ask it to create a snake game in Python, and let us see if it is actually giving a working Python code. So let me copy this and go till the end. Yeah, I think it should run. So let me check. Go to my terminal. I think the game was initiated, but it is not working. Okay. For 5 of the prompts that I've tested, so for the snake game, it didn't give the correct code. And in talking about this particular prompt, it was blocked for some reason. So I would give this a wrong 2. And it gave wrong answer for this. So it got 2 out of 5 questions right. And again, this is with the mini model. But if we test it with the main O1 preview model, I think the results might be a lot better. But this is how O1 mini performs. The link to this particular code will be available in the description. So you can go ahead and test this model yourself. Until then, thank you. Hope you had fun.